Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one I've been wanting to make for quite some time now. Today I am finally making my video on how to speedrun Hardcore Frost Dragon. Now, I did this video in teamwork with good old Team Generic. Now, if you do not know who they are one of the top tier rating teams in all of RPG Simulator and do Frost Dragon in some of the absolute quickest times. Along with their amazing strategy and their help, I was able to get a lot of amazing speedrun footage to show you, and I'm also able to show you the strategies we used and strategies you should also try to use when speedrunning Hardcore Frost Dragon. So before I get into the actual techniques that we use and strategies that players use per role, I'm going to go over the gear that you want. In order to attempt hardcore speedrunning of Hardcore Frost Dragon, you're going to need at least the entire Frost Dragon set minus Ice King. So this would be Blizzard Blade, Iced Out Necklace, Glacial Frost Ring, and the Glacial Scale Frost Dragon Scale Armor. You're going to want all of this in order to speedrun it. You do not need it, but it makes it a lot easier. Also, all DPS players must have a tier 5 pet gem. If they do not have a tier 5 pet gem, then they should not be DPS and they should either be Silencer or Egg Rune. It just makes it tremendously easier if all your players are using tier 5 pet gems, and plus every player that has an Ice King must be on DPS. A lot of our players when running today had Ice King and just crazy high level pets, so that's why our runs were so quickly. So now I'm going to get going into the roles that you're going to have. So first I'm going to go over my favorite role and the one I always take, the Egg Rune role. So for our strategy, they used 2 Egg Runes, and most standard speedrunning of Hardcore Frost Dragon will be using 2 Egg Runes. Pretty much what you do is each Egg Rune will both be using Cloak and the Protection ability. One person starts the cycle. Well, what do I mean by cycle? At the top of your screen there will be rotating timings that you will see change throughout the battle. Basically, one person will start the Egg Rune counter and it will have 8 at the top, meaning you have 8 seconds of protection left. Once the other Egg Rune player sees that number down to 2 seconds left, they want to use their Egg Rune, therefore the cycle repeats. If both Egg Rune players perfectly rotate their Egg Rune cycles so that every time that there's 2 seconds left of protection, they use their Egg Rune ability at opposite, ends, like every other time they do it, then you should never ever lose your protection, and this is how you do run so quickly. The way you want to use Cloak, or the way I kind of do it, is you also kind of want to rotate it off, but Cloak is not as important as Protection. Basically, you want to use Cloak as a last minute saving feature. If someone's about to die and they need some extra protection, that's what I recommend you use Cloak. Now, something that Team Generic did with us that was a little bit different than what I'm used to is one Egg Rune player uses Mending and one uses Calamity. The Egg Rune player with higher pet levels is the one that uses Mending. This allows them to give even more health when healing. So in the video, I was the Egg Rune player with the lesser level of a pet, therefore I used Calamity. The reason why you don't want both of the players to be using Mending is because this cuts down on your healing, which lets the DPS players keep their maximum tier damage havocs up for longer, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, Egg Runes, watch your switching, watch all that, and you should be good. Also, something that the Egg Runes did that is very unique to this strategy, which I find very powerful, is every single time the Crystal Queen Lady flies up in the air, you will either move all to the left side or right side. You go opposite directions every time. What this does is let the players in maximum tier damage havoc, so 25% health, survive and keep their havoc up to keep doing massive damage. Also, what you can do is during this time cloak players if they're about to get hit by the slam so they don't die. But in my experience, do not threat and focus too much on the switching of the sides. It is not crazy important, although it does make your runs a little bit faster and adds a little bit extra net of safety to it. So now I'm going to move on to the Silencer players. So Silencer is the one role I've never played, so if I get something a little bit off, I apologize. But the main thing Silencer will be using is Lure Jab, Calamity, and Mending. Essentially, Silencer's role is to, Lure Jab. They want to keep the enemy bosses lured as much as humanly possible so they can take as much damage as possible. You also want to be using your Mendings a lot as a Silencer. You are one of the main healers of the team, so you have a pretty big weight on your shoulders. You do not want your team to get too low of health to the point where they die, so you gotta work with the other Egg player to balance your Calamity and your Mendings. Basically, what you can do is the Silence player and the Egg player with Calamity can both work together to make it to where Calamity's up 100% of the time. Because with 2 Calamities, you can perfectly balance it, so maybe every time Calamity timer at the top is at 2 or 3 seconds, that's when the other player uses Calamity again. This can create a perfection Calamity cycle, giving you Calamity the entire time the match is going, it would just make the runs so much quicker. Plus, you gotta watch your mendings to make sure your players stay alive, and then of course, just use your Silence ability, Lure Jab, whatever you want to call it, every single time you can do it. So now I'm going to move into the DPS role, and the strategy that they used that was the absolute most effective is the Blade Rune strategy. And your ability set will be Sword Splitter, Blaze Slash, and Havoc. So Sword Splitter and Blaze Slash are 2 of the highest damaging abilities, and yes, I know you will be using Blade Rune and not Azure, so you may be wondering, why do you use Blaze Slash? Without Azure, Blaze Slash is still an incredibly damaging ability. Plus, with the Rune of the Blade on, your basic attack damage is 3 times higher, it increased, and plus Sword Splitter just does a tremendous amount of damage when using it. So basically what you want to do as a DPS player is watch your Havoc pretty much constantly. You need a balance staying alive and being very low health in order to do maximum damage. So you need to pay very, very close attention to your timers at the top of the screen. You need to always watch Calamity and always watch Protection. You want to make sure that you stay by the Egg Runes enough of the times to get Protection. Never ever walk out of their range when there's only 2 seconds of Protection left. This is oftentimes what gets a DPS player killed. Also watch Calamity. You do not want to use your Sword Split ability and or Blaze Slash ability when Calamity is gone. This will make you lose a lot of damage. So when it comes to balancing Havoc, you want to make sure you're in that 25% health range a lot of the times when dealing damage. This lets you do massive amounts of damage, and pretty much why you're able to do some of these runs in less than 2 minutes. So DPS is a very, very risky business. You really got to make sure you're a top tier player when balancing the Havoc and all that stuff. It is very easy to get killed, but luckily you're going to be running with 3, 4, 5 DPS players, so if you lose one, you can still win. Now we're going to go on to a little bit of strategy. There really isn't too much strategy when it comes to this. For the Crystal Mage, basically you just do what I said, move left to right when she flies, and other than that, sit still and shred. That's pretty much all there is to her. Also, let an Egg Rune start the battle cycle every time so he can start the Protection cycle immediately. This is a very important part. Okay, so when you move on to the actual Frost Dragon, the Frost Dragon is tremendously easy. You're literally going to stay on him the entire time. Even when mages come in, if you're following this strategy and all your DPS players have tier 5 pet gems, you should be able to ignore the mage's healing and DPS right through them, dealing massive damage to Frost Dragon and killing him. So eventually at half health, Frost Dragon will go down into the caves. What you want to do for this strategy, or what we did, there's 2 things you can do. The quick way is to have an Egg Rune protection the second you teleport down, so you have the egg protection the entire time and you run to Frost Dragon. This is the risky strategy. Oftentimes when doing this, we would sometimes lose 1 or 2 DPS, but if we got lucky, we would lose 0 of them and do a very quick runs. Another way to do it is sit together in a group and rotate off your egg protection cycles and mendings in order to stay alive and have the dragon come to you. This is a safer strategy, but it is a lot slower, so it's not quite as much of the speedrun way to do it. So once everyone's down in the cave and they're fighting the dragon, basically all you're going to do is attack him until the dragon is dead. Pretty self-explanatory, and you're going to get all of your loot. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it helped you a little bit. This is a very good speedrunning strategy. Let me know down in the comments below if you're going to try this, and hopefully it goes well for all of you. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you check out the rest of my channel sometime later this week. Bye!